Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your boy Hollywood Steve. I am back with another video. Alright, so we got the review of NXT from last night, so let's get right into it, guys. NXT opened with a recap of last week with WWE's debut of Mariah May and Trick Williams beating Mike Santana with the help, of course, of AJ Francis and Casey Navarro, otherwise known as First Class. Then we get the usual shots of the wrestlers arriving at the arena. We saw Luca Crucifino and Tony D'Angelo. But to me, I don't know what you guys thought about this, but to me, Tony had a look on his face of I don't know if I can trust this guy. I don't know if I can trust Crucifino after what Stacks did. After Stacks betrayed him and jumped him from behind and, all that stuff. Then we get Obafemi arriving, and as he's heading into the Performance Center, he's jumped by none other than Jasper Troy. They go back and forth. They go back and forth a little bit, and Troy chokeslams Obafemi onto the windshield of a car, and leaves Oba just lying on top of the car. Back inside the Performance Center, we got Ethan Page, the North American champion, putting his title on the line against Evolve's Sean Legacy. Now, this was my first time seeing Sean Legacy, guys, and I have to say I was very, very impressed. Very much impressed by Sean Legacy. I was thoroughly impressed. This guy really impressed me. And I thought it was, Paige controlled the match at the start, and what I thought was really cool was how they told Sean Legacy's story of how he was, bullied for his love of wrestling, and that his brother was the only one who shared his love for that sport, and then how he tragically lost his brother, and how he's carrying on his brother's legacy. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool little story that they told. Legacy, of course, he hits a really nice drop kick to take control of the match, but Ethan Page hits a knee to his face to regain control. Sean Legacy then hits a knee in the corner for him to regain control. And the NXT crowd, they are hot for Sean Legacy, man. They are cheering him on, man. And I was getting behind him. I mean, I thought Legacy was actually going to do it. But after a great effort by Legacy, he attempts a 450 frog splash but misses, and Ethan Page gets him in his finisher, hits his finisher, and gets the win. But post-match, who should jump Ethan Page from behind? None other than the former NXT North American champion, Ricky Saints, who is not medically cleared, who can't talk, who's had his larynx, I'm guessing he's had his larynx injured, so he can't talk. So they fight up the ramp and into the back, and then we get Fatal Influence in Ava's office, and JC Jane's informing Ava that she needs to be notified when she signs a new wrestler to the women's division. Signs a new competitor to the women's division. She needs to be notified because she's the champion. She deserves to be notified. And Fatal Influence is agreeing with her. Then Laney Reed comes in, and she doesn't say a lot. Laney Reed doesn't really say a whole lot. She just boom, just slaps JC Jane right in the face, and then she then after slapping JC Jane, she says that she was trying. She said what she was trying to say last week was that she's ready for JC Jane and a shot at the NXT Women's Championship. And before she leaves Ava's office, she gets one more huge slap in across JC Jane's face. And Fallon Henley looks at JC Jane and says, "Well, now she has to wrestle her," because." And JC Jane agrees and surprisingly puts her title on the line. So we're gonna get JC Jane and Laney Reed for the women's NXT Women's Championship a little later on. And after the break, we get Nico Vance and Shawn Spears against Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. But before that, we get a little video package from last week of Izzy Dame hitting Josh Briggs' tag team partner, Brooks Jensen, in the back with the chair, saying that and telling both Nico Vance and Shawn Spears that if you're not going to commit to the calling 100%, if you're not 100% in, then you don't belong. Then you don't belong in the calling. And so Izzy Dame, the leader of Izzy Dame, the leader of the calling? Maybe? I don't know. We'll have to see. So Briggs and Inamura dominate until Briggs goes to the outside. Izzy Dame tries to hit Briggs with the chair that she brought to the ring. And the calling, Briggs gets thrown back in the ring. The calling dominate for a while. Briggs gets the tag, and Inamura comes in like a house of fire. But Nico Vance, after just a great back and forth, Nico Vance hits this incredible power bomb and picks up the win for the calling. And overall it was a good match. I mean, overall it was okay. It was good. I mean, it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was excellent. I mean, it was a really good match. I mean, it was two big dudes three big guys, minus Shawn Spears, going up against each other. So, that was really a lot of fun. And after the break, we get Ricky Saints. He's in Ava's office, and he's still obviously showing the effects from last week, and he's not medically cleared because he can't talk. So Ava sends him home and told him to let her handle the situation. And Ricky Saints walks off. He walks off out of Ava's office. Then we got Sarah Schreiber back in the back at the medical at the little medical center they have at the Performance Center, giving an update on Oba Femi's condition, which she said at that point was still unclear, but the match was still going to happen. And then around the corner we got Chase Yu. They're talking about their interaction last week with the Dark State, and these two new guys from these two new guys from for in Chase U. They're kind of like the hotheads, you know. They're kind of like they're kind of like the hotheads. They're like, hey, let's go. They're all in, right? And Andre Chase is like, okay, you guys want to go up. You guys want to go up against Dark State. You guys want to beat them. You guys, you have to listen. You have to listen to me. You have to listen to what I'm telling you. And I'm telling you how to I'm telling you how to beat the Dark State. But you have to listen to me. You have to listen to what I'm telling you. And so they agree and that they need to head back to the classroom and start working on some stuff on how to beat Dark State. And then we get we get a little vignette of Mariah May and her new name. Her new name is Glamour Blake Monroe. And she's gonna be signing her contract next week on NXT. And the next up, we got Lash Legend in action against Ren Sinclair of No Quarter Catch Crew. And Lash Legend pretty much dominated this match. She pretty much dominated the entire match. Lash has definitely grown in her confidence in the ring from when she was with Metaphor. She has definitely grown since becoming a singles star, and after I'm drawing a blank. Noam Dar and Jakara Jackson left. Lash Legend on her own. She's really grown on her confidence in the ring. She picks up the win, and then we get a stare down between Lash Legend and Kalani Jordan. So they've been having a little tiff back and forth, little beef back and forth. So we get a little stare down between those two. Then we get a little hype video from Lainey Reed before her match against Jacy Jayne for the Women's NXT Championship. And after the break, Sarah Schreiber, she's backstage talking to Jasper Troy about his attack on Obafemi. Jasper says, I hope he can compete, basically, because I am taking that NXT championship from him. And then we get our match between Jacy Jayne and Lainey Reed. Jacy Jayne picks up the win with the distraction from Fallon Henley, and I will say that Lainey Reed really held her own. She looked really good. She hit couple of high cross bodies. She hit a couple of moonsaults. She had some really close, she had some really good counters, and she had some really close 2 counts. She had a couple of 2 3/4 that I thought she was going to beat Jacy Jayne, and I thought it was going to be a really short run for Jacy Jayne. But then we get Ava up in the little up in the little box that they have, um, in the little box that they have, um, up in the up in the seats, seating area. I'm not sure what they call the little, I don't know, box thing. Um, but she tells Jacy Jane that there's going to be a tournament next week to determine her number one contender for her NXT Women's Championship, and Jacy Jane will face the winner at Evolution in July. And then we get Briggs and Inamura back in the locker room, talking, just discussing what happened about their defeat, and how they lost, and then First Class comes in, they're interrupted by AJ Francis and Casey Navarro, better known as First Class, and they both said they were coming for those NXT Tag Team titles. But who should walk in? Elijah, formerly Elias, walks in and said that First Class had caused him the match, and said that Elijah said that he would have had Trick beat and would have brought the title back to TNA if it hadn't been for First Class. Well, First Class said, they were going to go talk to Trick and talk to Trick about that. And off they go. Then we get NQCC in the back. They're talking with Miles Bourne, and Miles, just thanked Charlie for letting him go out on his own, and for letting him wrestle him, and just letting him carve his own path. But then Tavion Heights was like, hey, I want a shot at you, Dempsey, to prove myself. So I can go out on my own. So I want to prove myself, and maybe go out on my own. But Charlie Dempsey was like, guys, what is happening between NQCC? We're supposed to be together forever, and we're supposed to run NXT. And Charlie walks away, and Ren looks at Tavion Heights and says, "Let me go talk to him." And so they both walk away. And then we got a video package from last Saturday, from Worlds Collide last Saturday, which was amazing. And then we got Luca Crucifino and Tony D'Angelo going up in tag team action against High Rise, who were accompanied by Wesley. And Crucifino, early on in the match, Crucifino goes for tag, but Tony doesn't tag him. And Luca's like, what? Tony's having a very hard time trusting Luca after obviously, like we said earlier, after what Stax did, after Stax betrayed him and turned his back on the family. And so, Tony D'Angelo's having a little bit of difficulty trusting anybody in the family right now. But as the match went on, the trust I think was there for the match at least. But Luca got a little distracted. But as the match went on, Tony, like I said, Tony had this look of distrust early on in the match, but him and Luca Crucifino got on the same page. Until Tyson and Tyreek of High Rise took over the match with just their big frame. Luca gets the hot tag after delivering a code breaker, and then who should show up but Stax? Stax comes running down the ramp with the crowbar, but as Stax rolls out of the ring, Stacks tries to hit Tony with the crowbar. He drops the crowbar, rolls out of the ring, and who should pick up the crowbar but Luca Crucifino? As Tony turns around, he sees the crowbar in Luca's hand, and High Rise capitalizes and picks up the win. Okay, I knew this was going to probably be a distraction finish. But, overall, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good match. I thought it was really good. I mean, High Rise is really good. And Tony D'Angelo is just really good in the ring. And Luca Crucifino, he's good. He's good in the ring. And then we got Sarah Schreiber backstage talking with the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams. He's talking about his match with Elijah last week and his Against All Odds, how he beat Elijah, how Trick is the new face of TNA, and how he's the new franchise, and how he's just better than everybody in TNA, and how he's, all this stuff, right? And he talked about his match last week against Mike Santana. And of course, and so next week we're getting a 6-man tag match. AJ Francis is going to be back on NXT television for the first time since being top dollar with B-Fab and Ashante the Adonis and Swerve. That's right. And I forgot to mention that's the AJ Francis mentioned that he was at the top of the tag division there on NXT. He made NXT's tag division the best that it was because he was the best thing going there on NXT in that tag division. He, mentioned that. And so we're getting a 6-man tag match next week. First Class and Trick Williams are going to go up against Briggs, Inomura, and Elijah. So that ought to be fun. That ought to be a really good match. And then we got our main event of Obafemi versus Jasper Troy for the Men's NXT Championship. And during this match, man, Troy just showed off his strength. I mean, Jasper Troy whips, at one point in this match, Jasper Troy whips Obafemi into the ropes so hard that the middle rope breaks in half. That the middle rope comes apart. And the refs have to put it back. I mean, give me this all day. As Booker T said, no bread, no water, just meat. Give me that all day. 2 big, meaty, beefy men just going at each other. Give me that all day long. This match was really, really good. Jasper Troy looked awesome. Obafemi, I mean, he really was selling the ribs. Jasper Troy he's hitting crossbodies, moons. I mean, he even hit a couple of moonsaults. And power move. But it took Obafemi hitting 2 of his finishers to pick up the win. So overall, a really good episode of NXT last night. If you guys have not watched NXT, I highly, highly recommend you guys give it a watch. I highly recommend that you guys watch NXT because NXT is amazing. Well, this is Hollywood Steve signing off, saying I will catch you guys in the next video. Remember, when you're Hollywood Steve, it's for life.